Hello, everyone. My name is Cody Bjarkland. I look after developer experience here at Sentry. Pretty excited to jump into this one. This is gonna be a fun workshop. We're gonna do it a little bit different than ones we've done in the past, and we have a lot of stuff that we're gonna crank through. So it's gonna be a fun one though. We're gonna go through this workshop guide here, but before we get started, I wanted to do some introductions. Like I mentioned, my name's Cody. I get the joy of looking after developer experience here, and I'm joined with Itay. Itay, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I do iOS at that Sentry. Hopefully, here to help. Any question, help you some insights on the SDK. And
So when I
nice to
overcommit
be.
things, when I make promises that aren't real, you're going to be the one who tells everyone that I was wrong, right?
Exactly.
Perfect, perfect, love it. Awesome. Well, we had a good little group of people, so we're gonna jump in and go ahead and get started. Overall. So a few things we're going to play with. Obviously, we have this guide up, and I think this was included in the resources. I have a couple people helping out on the call. Steve and Alex from the Sentry team are out in the ether helping answer questions and keep an eye on stuff. We're going to do, like I said, we're going to do things a little bit different this time. I, unlike Itay, am not an iOS developer by any means. I have tinkered, I have played, but it's not a space that I've done a lot of my focus in. Most of my focus has been on web technologies, front end and back end, largely back end stuff. And so I built this app that we're going to use inside of this workshop as part of this workshop course. And what I ended up building was a little workout app for my daughter. My daughter plays basketball. So we had a little workout application on native Swift that would help her track things she's working on. And I think a lot of people, as they're coming in and starting to build things in kind of this new way, people are building AIs out there, and people are using it to build in interesting ways. A lot of people are going to be in this boat where the first time they're coming into to building is going to be through a vibe coding situation, like a Claude Code or an Open Code or a Droid. These different tools for going in and starting to interact with building things. And so we're going to go down that path. I'm going to go through, and I've already built the app out. The app's ready to go. It's on Fastlane, so I can deploy it pretty quick. It's on test flight running on my device, so like we can actually go in and interact with it, and we're going to do a little bit of that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of the vibe coding tools Go and instrument Sentry on it, and then we're going to step through what that ends up looking like in real practice. And we'll probably find some things along the way that don't work right. We'll stumble on a few things because the models are pretty great at building software, and they're kind of okay at building like functional software sometimes. But I think it's a good way to show how people get started with this, how people would get started setting up Sentry. I added a new skill. If you haven't seen agent skills, you're gonna see one today. I had a new agent for going in and setting up Sentry on an Apple device or on an iOS application. So we're gonna jump into it. Before we get started, any thoughts on your side of Tay?
No, nothing to add. The only thing there's a typo in the guide. I think it's called 16. That's going to be the minimum version. That we changed that recently.
Oops.
So,
okay, good call. We'll fix that.
So just in case anyone has a problem with that, just use the newer it's called version.
Cool. So what I'm going to do to get started is, so I have my iPhone here wired up, and we're connected over QuickTime on it. I'm going to go just bring up the app so you all can see what it actually looks like. I'll pull this over. So it's that Hop Up AI app. There's no AI in it yet. And this is kind of the application, right? So I'm signed in as me. I can go in, I can start workouts, I can create a new workout. I can go in and create different exercises, and then I can make those into workouts. There's a fun little like progress tracking thing so that you can gamify it and level up as we go. And I capture the sign-in credentials and all that, so it's all set up. That's my kiddo right there in the screen. So this is the app we're going to largely be working with. Again, it's a real app. It's working on test flight right now. If you want to beta, drop me a line. I'm on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it this week. You can message me anytime. So let's get into it and kind of get started with what we need to do. So all this stuff is in the guide, and you can go through and you can read the guide, and the guide's pretty like manual overall. I'm not going to step through every single step in this. It's pretty boring, and I think if you wanted to go and read this, you definitely can. Instead, I'm going to go through kind of the path that I would see like a regular user go through this. I'm going to fire up something like open code. We'll use that today. And we're going to go out and build this out. But first, I'm going to install an agent skill. And if you haven't seen what agent skills are kind of a set of instructions that agents can use to go and do a task. They're pretty basic overall. They're not authoritative in the sense that they don't force people to go down a specific path, but they do give the LLM a certain amount of context on things it should go and do. So like I have some that I use for instrumenting different parts of Sentry manually, because I do that a lot. It's just part of the role and part of teaching people how to use this stuff. But it becomes really useful for like install and configure tasks, because you can get pretty granular on the stuff that you want it to go and do, and context you give it that gets loaded up pretty early in the flow. Again, just helps them keep a little bit more on, I don't want to say guardrails because it's not authoritative, but it does give it a solid rail to ride on as it goes out and sets up. And our friends over at Vercel did this really cool thing where they created a portal for letting people add skills to applications. So it's a website that will automatically install these on different coding platforms. And we have this Get Sentry agent skills page, and we haven't shared this out yet, mostly because of me. But if you go into our GitHub overall, we can drop in here, and you can see all the skills that are in here. And if we drop in, I'll zoom in a little bit more because it's pretty small. So we got a bunch of different skills that are available that can get pulled in and used. And so when I go and install this right now, I'm going to be able to enable specific ones of these if I want to. So we're going to jump in and do that first, and we're going to let that run in the background while we hop into Sentry and then configure the projects that we're ultimately going to use. So first, I'm going to come in and I'm going to install this. It's going to give me a nice little installation window. Cool. So close it down. I can pick which ones I want to do. I want to bring in the fix issues one. I'm going to bring in the iOS setup. I'm going to bring in the code review one. I don't really need the Python, React Native, React setup, Ruby. None of that's really needed. But I am going to bring in some of these extra ones that are good for setting up kind of some of the manual instrumentation stuff when I need to. So that's good. I'm going to turn that on. And I'm going to go ahead and just select specific agents just to keep things fast. I'm going to go ahead and grab open code, and I'll set up cursor also for now. And I'm also going to do droid because I tend to hang out in that a lot also. We're installing the project, and we'll symlink it, let it go through and do the install. I'm going to say no on that. I don't necessarily want it to install that one also. Great. So now if we pop into cursor, we use that also in this project just to be able to look at things a little cleaner. We could hang out inside of Xcode if we want to, but I tend to prefer cursor overall. We go to agents and we can see all these are available now inside. So we have all our skills set up. Those are good to go, ready to use. If I go in here, we'll go ahead and fire up the local device simulator just so we can see what it looks like when that spins up. Hoping that I didn't break anything in the last minute. Oh, I am getting a word that I am sounding pretty muffled. So I'm going to hop over into here. We're going to make sure that I'm using the right microphone. Everyone gets to see the back end real quick here. We are. Shout out to Paul for catching that one. Do I sound good now, Yute? Do I sound better?
Yes, you sound better.
Yeah. Thank you. Cool. So I am good to go. Cursor's up. We've got the agent skills installed. And so now I'm going to fire up open code. Open code is great. It's another one of the vibe coding style tools. It's a terminal-based editor. The idea behind these is go in, ask the things you want to do. It uses LLMs to go out and build the thing for you. It's very similar to Claude Code if you use Claude Code a bunch. If you haven't tried these out, definitely recommend trying them. I do have the Sentry MCP installed, so that's really useful for digging into problems. But this project right now is not set up in Sentry, so we're going to need to do that. I want to go ahead. Oops, I want to stage this. Set up Sentry in this iOS Swift application. Now, normally this will automatically detect the skills, but I do like to say using the iOS Swift skill from Sentry, I will create a project called Hop It Up iOS in the build with code org. And I'm going to fire this off, and it's kind of a gamble on if this is actually going to go and properly do it or not. I did not test this out because I wanted to actually do it live with you all in case we run into a problem. We can go fix it together, and we have Ate here to help us fix it. So you see it starting up. While this is running, I'm going to pop into Sentry, and I'm going to go ahead and create that. So this is my Sentry environment. This is the real one I use. This is a project I was working in earlier today. I'm going to head over to projects, create a new project. And we're going to grab iOS. We're going to cruise down, and we'll name this one Hop It Up. It Up. iOS. It's going to go in our build with code team. I'm going to create that, and that is it. The project's created. It's available now, and we get this nice guide from Sentry on all the things to do. The skill is going to actually fire off this command down here to actually go and set up the project overall. So let's go back in and take a look at what's happening. Cool. So it doesn't exist yet. Here's what you need to do. Cool. So it exists now. Try again. And now it should actually go out and use the wizard to start doing this setup. Hopefully. Ooh.
It wants you to put the DSN manually.
Yeah, but it if it was going to use the actual wizard, it would have pulled that in. So we might have to go back and tell it to actually use the wizard so that it would have actually grabbed it correctly. But that's okay. For now, that's all right. Go down and grab the DSN. Oops. Maybe I should paste things before I actually hit enter. There we go. Oh, it wants the interactive flow inside of here. So that's probably not going to work so well inside of the skill. But it does give us a nice little command to go and fire off for it. So we'll grab that, and we'll let it run through on its own automatically. So go ahead and paste this in. Continue anyways. We'll use the Sentry SaaS. We already have an account. It's going to go ahead and launch the browser window, or it should. Maybe. There we go. We are going to go ahead and enable logs. I want to go ahead and do the install. Select a lane to add Sentry to. Let's see.
To upload a release, probably not.
Yeah, I was thinking release also, because that's when you'd ship everything anyways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do release. I already have the MCP installed, so we don't need that. Cool. Sentry is installed and configured. Wizard is done. Move forward. So I'm actually, and I don't think you know about this today, but I'm actually working on an update for the Sentry Wizard to let most of our SDKs install non-interactively, so that we can do things like this from an agent. So I have a PR open with Lucas from our SDK team. For those who know Lucas, to review, where it'll actually go through and let us do non-interactive installs. So these agent-based flows will work much better once that
Sounds
merges.
nice.
So I don't need this open anymore. This is going to go and finish up its work. There's been no events yet, but it's all set up. It's all configured. We get a nice little report back on everything that's set up inside of it. The sample rates are here. I want to go ahead and change that right now. So, actually, no, sorry, it's already set at 1. This was a suggestion from it telling us for production, we should switch it over. We should switch it over here. So Sentry is installed and configured now inside of the project in theory, right? And if we go into Xcode, we could go in and we could dig in and find those configs if we wanted to. So we can see right here, so slow, or so small rather. You can see all of our configs for Sentry set up in here already.
Yeah, that value sample rate, that means that every build will upload all the data, because if not, maybe some of the runs are not going to upload. That's what you want in production, but not for what we want now for you to see. Right?
Yep, correct. It does look like we're getting a little bit of the outdated stuff down here, though. So I want to check and make sure that we're on the right, the newest version of the SDK, because it shouldn't be experimental anymore, right? It should be just enable logs.
That's probably the wizard. That's maybe we didn't upload that.
Yeah. So let's. So we'll go ahead and have our agent, and you update the Sentry SDK to the newest stable version. Yeah, because this is supposed to be 9.2, right?
Yeah.
9.3.
9.2.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was released yesterday or the day before. So.
Awesome. Okay, so we're getting nice updates here. Now this is already set up in Git, obviously, so I'm all good for that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and fire this off to update on Fastlane. So Fastlane is what I'm using to go and deploy this stuff out. I'm also going to ask this to make sure that the size analysis is configured inside of this. So I added that to the skill last night. And there's some things that it's going to do in the background to go through that upload. And while that goes through and does its thing, I'm going to go through a few things inside of the Sentry UI and just give everyone kind of a primer on where things are at and good areas to look at for on a mobile device. So can you confirm we set up size analysis on Fastlane? That the other items in the skill were accomplished. Like replays and traces. I didn't see either the replay or the traces config in there. So I'm a little concerned that those got missed. Oh, it was. Looks like it was. Oh, it is. Yep. So replays are missing. Size analysis is missing. So it's going to make those changes and update to include those now. In this case, we're having the agent do full sample or no sampling effectively on replays. So basically every session that comes through is going to generate a replay for us. And then also on errors, sample rates will always show up. We usually recommend for errors to do 1.0 and then to bump this way down to like a lower number, because you don't really need replays for every single user unless you have like a real reason for that. But we are also going to have it bring in screenshots, view hierarchy, all of that stuff also. So there's some good stuff coming through. We're also setting up size analysis. So size analysis is in beta now. We just released this. Super useful. I actually had this in another project I was hacking around on, where I had dropped a couple of screenshots in, and being the not cracked iOS developer that I am, I had uploaded these photos into like multiple locations. And so size analysis caught it right away. And I'm going to show what that looks like. But it was super helpful. And like Sentry gave me a nice little warning that said, if you remove one of these, you'll drop the size of the bundle by 30%, which is kind of huge. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to show that off in a second here. So this is all set. Everything's looking good. I am going to open up a new tab. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this onto my other screen, because there's going to be a credential on the screen that I don't want to share with everybody. and that is my Apple iOS fast lane.
I do have a question, Cody.
Was that?
I do have a question. Which Xcode are you using? Because session replay doesn't work that way. We have to enable a configuration for session replay on Xcode 26.
Ooh, okay. I think I was not using Xcode 26. That was from the whole we talked about this before. That this is from the changes in Apple Glass, right?
Glass. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I set this one up not to be. So
that's not the icon of the iOS Xcode 26. So just in case if anyone is using Xcode 26, they have to enable an experimental flag to allow a session replay in that environment, or they won't get any session replay.
So Fastlane right now is running. This is actually doing for those who I hadn't. Funny enough, I hadn't actually used Fastlane before, so like this is my first experiences with it. Pretty cool overall. It's actually going out and pushing a real build out, and so in a minute, I'm going to bring back up the simulator and we'll go in and do an update on this application if it doesn't cause an error. So we had a nice little error pop up in here. Let's see. What did we get upset about?
No, go up. That's an error. That the arrow should go. Should be up. No, a little down. Search for error. There's the error. No value options. Has member enable logs.
Ooh, so it's so it's not picking up the new SDK yet. So that's right. We'll have the agent go and attack that. Where did those errors go? Cool. Grab these.
It might be the build folder of SPM. Let's see the agent fix that.
Cool. So just telling it to go and double check through it. The cool thing about using like some of the agent-based configs for this is like you can go into the Xcode configs and start to like update things inside of the actual UI for Xcode, or like in the actual like build configs behind the scenes. And so even if it is cached, it can go in and like refresh certain parts of it, which I think is pretty cool. So let me go and try real quick to properly restart this. I'm going to clear the cache in Xcode, and we'll go ahead and restart it up.
No, it's still the old version. You can see on the left.
Oh yeah.
Package dependencies. Let's update it from Xcode.
Cool. So we'll hop into here probably, I'm guessing.
Go on the right, package dependencies.
Package dependencies.
Yeah, you should put 9 there. On the right, just put 9. 9.0.0. No, on the left.
Right there.
Yeah, we lost your screen sharing. I don't see it anymore.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, give me 1 second. Let me fix that. Back to the game.
Yes, we can see.
Cool. So I did 9.0 there.
And let's see, you go on the project explorer on the left. You go on the top left icon. No, on the left, on the sidebar.
This one here? Over here?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, 9.3.0. So it should build now. Let's try again.
Perfect. So let's go ahead and stop everything. We'll just click the cache one more time. Fire it off again. I think we're going to be in business now. Cool. Built that time. So let's hop back in. We'll go do another Fastlane beta. And while this runs in the background, we can start exploring a little bit inside a Sentry, and we can show some of what this will look like in a separate project. Because this is going to take probably about a minute or two to actually go and do its full upload, and then we'll do an update. Looking much better off now.
Yeah, I can see it is using the version 9.3.0, so that's good. So we just need to build and upload.
Perfect. So we'll let this run in the background. I don't think it's going to fail from here for now. So we'll go and take a look around inside of actual Sentry. Now we're not going to have any content in here yet. The simulator doesn't really send much up, right? It's overall like you don't get much out of it.
You can see most of the stuff is uploaded, but you don't see any symbols, so the crashes are not that good.
Let's make sure we're in the right project. Yeah. Cool. So we're
a question from I think we lost your screen again.
Oh man.
And we have a question from Michael Friedman. Yeah, it works from the Xcode simulator, but the symbols are not that good unless you upload the DSIMs, and that only happens when you upload to Xcode to the test flight or production. So in that case, that's better. That's what we want to show.
So this is pretty cool. We got our first event through. So this is the test one that Sentry sets up inside of the app. So we know Sentry's working at this point, right? Like it's sending data in, our SDK is working, and it's showing up. One thing I want to set up though, really quick, and I don't have this in the guide. We do have this repo in Git. It's there. I can actually go in, and I'm gonna go and tell our agent commit this code and push it up into the repo. Because what we're going to do is we're also going to set up.
We lost your screen again.
Man, I'm going to actually move things around a little bit to try and stop that. It's an unfortunate bug that has plagued me on iOS, or not on iOS, but on the web-based meeting platforms. Cool. So we got our event through. It's showing up. All things good. I'm going to go actually set up the repo for this so that we can actually have like Seer monitor it. So Seer is our AI debugging agent. It came out this week. And when we have it set up, it'll watch for bugs as they come in and actually help us get those fixed. So we're going to come into settings.
Your screen stopped sharing again.
The worst. So here's what we're going to do. For now, we're going to go and we'll hang out in.
Unless I'm the only one having that problem.
No, I'm watching it on the other screen. So if I'm looking over here, I'm looking at the share to make sure that it's actually working. But we're in here now. So this is inside Sentry. I'm going to come in and I'm going to go into my projects and I'm going to come find that iOS project that I just built. This is top it up here. I'm going to come in and I'm going to make sure that we have the repos set up. So we don't have a repo set up right now, which means that Seer, when it runs, won't know about this project. So we can come in here. Hop It Up AI is the project name. And so now that's set up. And a couple of things that we're going to have set up in here automatically. We're having PR auto creation turned on, so which means when Seer finds bugs in here, it'll go and pull a fix to PR it. And we're also going to have auto trigger fixes turned on. So as it finds those, it's going to fire off fixes for it. We could come in and set up the cursor handoff if we wanted to have cursor go and fix stuff. We're not going to in this case though. So cool. That is all wired up. Let's go take a quick look at Fastlane. You can't see it because it's on the other screen, but it did finish. And so now we're going to fire up sharing on the whole desktop again. And we're going to hope that it lasts long enough to actually enjoy.
Let's see. Hopefully.
Hopefully. There we go. So we're sharing there. I'm going to jump onto QuickTime on my device so that we can go and update this. I'm going to go into test flight. I'm going to bring it up here in just 1 second. Cool. So we have the
have a
update
question
available.
on SIR. How do you handle the permission for SIR GitHub user? It's configurable. I'm not that good on that, so maybe you know how the setup.
So for Sears GitHub user, you install a GitHub app. I know it just stopped sharing again. You install a GitHub app that binds it, so that's what you actually configure to give specific access to different repos and different configurations on it. So this is up now. It's running successfully. I'm going to go create just a quick exercise. That way we have some data in here. So we'll say box jumps. 3 sets of 10. My daughter's trying to learn how to jump higher and increase her vertical. So we can come in, we can create a new workout. Jumping. We'll add an exercise to it. Sharing stopped because that hates me, unfortunately. It's cool. We have the workout going. I could go in. I could now close that down. Oops, I closed that. Jumping. We'll add the workout to it. Done. Create. Cool. We have that now. I could go in, start the workout. We're going to be dishonest and say that we actually finished successfully. Cool. 1-day streak. So everything's working. This should be creating data inside of Sentry for us to actually look at now. So let's go ahead and start exploring what that looks like. So if we come in and into traces, sometimes it takes a little bit to actually properly show up, but we're already getting some stuff coming through inside of here. We can see a bunch of trace data coming in for this application. We can click into any of these and start to dive into what's actually happening inside of the application there. That's great. I want to go back and actually have the agent add some logging in, because right now by default, we don't have any logs. So when I go in and set this up, there's not going to be any log data in here. But what's really cool is I can come in and actually look at the replays, and in a few moments, it might not be there yet, but it should be pretty quickly. In a few moments, those replays should actually show up inside of here for us to actually see. And so they're not quite there yet, but they will be.
To upload.
What was that?
No, it takes some time to upload sometimes.
Yeah.
So we should be able to see them soon.
But we are getting events coming through, and Steve, who's supposed to be watching this also and helping out, is in the beta for this, so he could go and add some data if he wanted to, and we would see his stuff coming through. Something we talk about a lot with Sentry, just a quick pause, is Sentry is really oriented towards going and fixing the problems that happen inside of an application. So we're not really necessarily concerned with making all this stuff visible as an observability platform. We want to be the tool that a developer has open as they're building out these applications and running them and going and able to actually fix them. And so a lot of the stuff that you're going to see inside of Sentry is really oriented towards giving you a fast path to go and fix the things that are broken. That's why we put things like, what did the device impacts look like first and foremost? That's why we put impact of users really close to the top. That's why Sears right here, because we want it to be very easy for you to quickly go in and dig into what's happening and actually fix the problem. We get a nice trace preview down here. We can see a lot of tag information that'll dive in and explain what some of the important information about what's happening with that actual device. We can see configs. All of these are captured in tags, and all of these are searchable inside of Sentry. You can create dashboards that use some of this information. You can create alerts off of some of this information. So again, the whole idea here is to make it very easy for you to dig into what's happening in your application and go and fix things that aren't working right. One of my favorite places to go is over into Insights, and you can start diving into some of the mobile areas in here. These start populating over time. I'm in the wrong project though, so that doesn't help. These start populating as more and more data comes in. You can see we're pretty early in this, so there's not a lot of traffic in there yet. But I can quickly see what some of the interactions inside of the application are causing behind the scenes. I can see information on the network requests. So this app does have a database backend that it's talking to on a separate tier. I don't have Sentry set up inside of that yet, but if I did, you would be able to see kind of the distributed traces move all the way from the front end through that back end, and you could actually trace the entire path of communications. Like these are all updating in a Postgres database that's running in Railway. Huge fan of Railway, and so as I update things inside of the app, it's going to an API that's running in Railway, and that API then is sending database updates into Postgres. So you could see that entire flow of traffic and understand exactly where things are slowing down. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to pop back in to our editor here, and I'm going to say I want to configure logs for the major actions in the application. We'll go Sentry logs just so it grabs. Load it up with a bunch of noise so I can show what's happening. It's not what I recommend for production, just to be clear. But this should then go out and grab the skill from Sentry and actually start to implement this.
So regarding Gabor question, sorry if I mispronounce your name. Regarding the size of the SDK, it increased on V9 because of all the Swift. We are using more Swift on the SDK. That's normal. Usually Swift is a bit bigger than Objective-C. What I can recommend you is try to use the static version of the SDK. The static version is going to be smaller and can use the optimization of from the compiler to remove what's not being used. And regarding Manish Rathi question, that would depend on your project. How much do you want to see? How many users do you have? So if how many users, you cannot have sample rate too big, or you will get a lot of noise. So you want to be selective on what you get on to Sentry.
That makes a ton of sense. Just for context, any changes I make in here for everybody, I have to go, because we're not running locally, we're running on like the real device outside in the ether. If I make any changes here to add more logs, I'm gonna have to do another Fastlane build that's gonna send it up. It happens pretty fast, but like we're not working locally, so all this stuff has to be rebuilt and resent out into test flight and downloaded again. I do have a couple questions coming through. I see for session replays, is there a way to mask the sensitive data on the app? Absolutely. By default, that stuff is masked. If I go in and look at another project that I have where replays have already come into this environment, if I go back and look at like the earliest examples in here, I think the first example is already masked out. Yeah, so like you don't see pretty much anything in here. I think I have a couple of buttons that are exposed, so you can't see much of what's happening inside of the app at that point. If I go down and look at another one,
yeah, you have to, by default, I think everything's masked. You have an option to mask all the text. You have an option to mask all the images, and then you can be selective on which classes do you want to mask and which one skip over.
Yep.
So that you can select everything, so nothing that you don't want on Sentry gets uploaded.
And that's, like I said, that's the default behavior. You can, and in my case, you can see down here in this one example I'm showing, I've already gone through and done the unmasking, so you can actually see everything. But you can get very granular on what you mask versus not. So a lot of flexibility there. We tend to be pretty privacy focused overall inside of the platform. So like logs do effectively the same thing. We'll obscure sensitive information from logs. That way, like protecting PII data and all that. Is there a functionality to batch upload Sentry logs? I would, Tobias, if you don't mind, drop a comment in a little bit more of what you mean on that one.
They are uploaded in batches. They don't get uploaded immediately as you log them. They get into batches and they upload when they get to the time. So I think 2 seconds or the number of logs or size. But they are uploaded batch. They are not. You don't get that many requests. That's a new feature, but piggybacking on what we already built on the SDK is not different from other stuff.
Perfect. So this is still cranking through. It's making the updates to it. I would love for it to finish these up so that I could do another push. We have about probably 15 minutes left of this workshop overall as we cruise through. So we got quite a bit done. What I do want to show really quick though, while this finishes up, and I'm gonna switch into the other project where there's more data. I want to talk a little bit about the size analysis thing that we were talking about earlier. So if I go into Insights, or actually not Insights, if I go to Explore and into Releases, these are all releases of this application. And this app is one that's actually out in the wild. This one's out in the App Store. This is one I built for my kids' teams to be able to share pictures from games and videos from games. If I go into any of these, we have this new beta tag on the top for mobile builds. And when I drop into here, we see all the builds that have come through, and these are being uploaded as part of Fastlane automatically. So every time I do a Fastlane build or Fastlane beta push, these are being captured, and it's actually monitoring what the install size is and download size. If I jump into these, we get a nice little flame graph of where that's being used, and you can see it's pretty clear. Like, I am sending a pretty huge image through. The thing that was like a big moment of, wow, that's cool to me, is coming into this view inside details. And if I go in and like Sentry right out of the gate is telling me I have duplicate files, if I clean those up, I'm going to drop the size by 26%. It's like dropping 25% off your bundle size feels like a pretty significant savings. Would that be the case, Itay?
Yeah.
Especially in mobile device world.
Yeah.
So again, this is in beta now. We'd love people to try this out inside of your applications. It's really easy to get set up. The docs are very good for it. It plugs right into Fastlane and ends up just being an upload. If you don't use Fastlane, you want to do it a different way, the Sentry CLI will let you upload those, upload the bundle for size analysis. But it is a pretty useful feature, I think. Any thoughts on your side with it?
No, it's a great feature. We work a lot on that, so please use it and make sure you delete everything you don't need on your app. Depending on the side of the inside, you will get some how to remove them, not just remove some files. Sometimes you need some configuration. You will get the guide how to do that.
I like it. Cool. So this is.
It's missing the import on that lane.
It'll go back and fix that. I always get that for some reason. I think there's probably something like inside of the agent that is having a struggle with that, because like no matter what, I always get that error message for Sentry. I think it just goes and does the imports as like last step. Funny enough. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna go ahead and actually just stop it because I think it's in a good spot. We have enough logs. Go ahead and check your work and fix it. So there's a question here that I think would probably be good for you, Itay. Somebody, Andrew, said, we have size analysis set up in the GitHub page. There's a link, configure app status check rules, which takes me to org.sentry.io, projects, app preprod, which is a page not found. So maybe a bug inside of either one of our UI elements or something like that.
I would take that for review, but you should be able to see the size analysis manually on that side, but I will see what's going on why the link is not working.
Cool. So this is good. I'm going to pop back over and fire off another Fastlane build, see if we can get this to build a new one with logs before we end.
I think the problem is that last pre-prod. I think that's the problem. That flash. So maybe I will take that to fix.
Cool. So we got a bunch of logs now. We got the auth service has logging in it. API service has some in it. So we should have some good logs to play with that'll show up in the app. So a couple things to think about as we wait for Fastlane to go do its cool stuff. These are all errors that have come through for my other application that had a lot more data coming through on it overall. I can go into any of these, and Seer will go in and do root cause on some of these bugs that are coming through and actually give us steps to go and fix it. So I can have this go in, plan a solution out. I can also send it off to Cursor if I wanted to. Like, the whole idea behind Seer is to be this debugger that lives right alongside how you're building these applications and automatically bring fixes in for them as needed, or at least give you insights on how to actually go and fix them. I can go in and I could copy the output here and drop it into OpenCode, Claude Code, Droid, and have it go and fix them. It's totally possible. Same thing with like all these little markdown widgets overall. One of the cool things about how we have this set up now, if I go into like traces, there's all this information in here about what's happening inside of the application in different areas where there's slowdowns or problems. I can create alerts off of all of this. So like any of these spans that have values associated with them, I can come in here, I can save them as dashboard widgets, I can create alerts off of them. And so there's a lot of flexibility here on what, like how you use the data that's coming in. I don't think anyone is like expected to come in and hit this individual trace and like manually parse through every value in here, but ultimately going in and finding like the things that really matter to you and the things that matter in your application and using that as like alerts to help tell you when things are breaking is kind of the whole goal of what Sentry is going to do, is like actually give you visibility into what's breaking, whether it's an error or not, and how you should actually go and fix it. Of course, it would turn off again, but at least I got through the speech first.
Regarding to Tobias' question, if the device is offline, the logs are cached and uploaded when you connect, but they are uploaded individually, so you can see them each one separate. You don't get a single log.
So that's finished. Fastlane's waiting for it to finish up on there, so that's a good sign. It means any minute now we'll be able to go and actually do the update again to actually set it up. While that's finishing, I want to show a little early preview of something pretty cool. So we have these spans in here for media uploads that are available. And these are spans that obviously I would care a lot about. I would want to know like how long are uploads taking for people? Are we optimizing well around those? I might want to create alerts off of those. I might want to dig into that data. We have a feature coming up in the future called Seer Explorer. So we call it internally Seer Explorer. It's more like an agent view of being able to talk with Sentry about what's happening inside of your application. So I can come in here and I can ask it questions like, tell me about the mobile upload performance for this application. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. This is early testing, and I'm in a beta group for it, so we're doing a lot of work on this. But the whole idea behind Seer is to be that debugger that lives alongside what you're doing. And like a lot of times, what's breaking won't cause an error message. And so being able to come in here and ask about like weird behaviors or things that are happening in your application that you want to figure out is a really good way to like interact with all that data. It's like Sentry collects a ton of context around what's happening in your applications. Like all the logs are in here, all the traces are in here, profiles show up here, stack traces show up in here. All this stuff is part of the context that Sentry gathers, and you can actually come in here and actually talk to it and figure out what's happening. And so you can see a couple of these are it's actually building out the queries in Trace Explorer. So if I come in here and hit enter, we can actually see the queries that it's using. It'll actually give us this back, and it's telling us here P50 is 69. So we're actually having like decent upload overall. A couple of slow ones that were really not great at all. But we can also see when like the most recent uploads were. Now this is when I set up my, this is actually when last time we had a game. And so I uploaded a bunch of media on that day. So that's pretty cool. So Seer Explorer is awesome. It's not out yet. It's an early preview. We are letting people test it out. So you can reach out to me on Twitter, Cody D. Arkland, or drop me an email, Cody@Sentry, and I can see about getting you in on it. The PM for this is great. PM really cares about us getting a good product out there. So we'd love people to come test it with us. So Fastlane finished up its thing. So we're gonna go ahead and jump back on. I'm gonna share that in just a moment. Cool. So we're ready to update again. I'm going to come in. We're going to see if we can get these logs to show up real quick. I'm going to go ahead and sign out of the account. Let me go ahead and sign back in again. That's me. Face ID works. And the reason I'm doing that is we had some ones we created, or some logs we created around sign-in stuff. I'm going to create another exercise. We'll call it Mike Run. I don't think that's it. I don't think Mike Run is going to help. No sets. We're not doing any sets. I'll do 3 sets of 60 seconds. That sounds good. Cardio. Go into our original workout. Let's see if we can add another thing to it. Sounds great. Oh, it didn't add. Looks like I have a bug. Isn't that great? We'll create another one. Run. Add. Mile run. Create. Tons of exercise today. We're doing great. So in theory, this should have sent a bunch of logs into Sentry now for this project.
No, that's fans.
Yeah, oops. No, I just haven't switched over to that window yet. These take a few to upload, so it just might not be in yet. Oh, not true. Look at that. Got us some logs coming through already. So we got some auth services coming through. We can see some of the details. We see what model iPhone's bringing it in right now. We can see checking credential state. So these are all kind of generic logs that are not necessarily like super useful, but I can start building these out with a lot more data and enriching them with more information if I wanted to. But logs were very easy to get set up and running overall. That's pretty cool. We can create alerts off of these also. So if we saw a certain amount of upload failures happening over and over again, it would be very easy for us to create an alert directly from here on those.
Yeah, you can create dashboards or see them in real time if you want to.
And since they're structured logs, all the properties are actually searchable. So like this is a structured log example. We created like an exercise name in here, right? I can come in and I can actually add this to the filter. And so I can see all of the ones that have an exercise on them, right? So set completed, what was the exercise name on that? That shows up, right? So that logs are awesome for helping like understand things that are happening inside of your application. I didn't set up metrics on this one, but metrics are also great. In this one, I might create like a metric for every time someone creates a workout or every time somebody completes a workout, and I'd be able to actually go and measure how often these things are happening. So pretty cool way to get additional telemetry out. Now we've done a few things inside of here, so we should have a little bit more data showing up in the app overall now. Yeah, so we're getting some good traces coming through. We can see information about the individual package, the releases. We can see data around it. We can see it's getting a little slower right now, but it's obviously just off of one person's data. Misery is relatively low, so that's good. We haven't got any replays through yet, but that is not completely abnormal. Mostly because I haven't done a ton of stuff inside of the app overall yet, and there's probably still some settings that I need to tweak for that.
Yeah.
But overall, pretty successful thing to go from not having Sentry set up at all inside of this project to having traces working, logs working, errors coming through or events coming through. We don't have any errors, fortunately, because my robots are good at building app code that doesn't break, or I just fixed it all before we got here. You'll never know. We talked through dashboards. We showed size analysis. So we got a lot of stuff done inside of an hour. We have about 5 minutes left, so I think it's good to open up for some questions. Desmond asked a good one, and I'd love your take on this one. Tay. When to use logs versus when we should use spans. I think of logs as things that are happening inside, like individual events that are happening inside of your application that you want to be able to capture. They're all trace connected anyways, and so like you can jump from a log entry into a span that's associated with that too. But I think of spans as the performance related activity that's happening at that specific moment and all the data that we're collecting around that. What do you think? What's your take? When a span versus when a log?
I mean, they are similar, but the logs are more verbose, so they are more useful for the person. Spans are more useful for creating alerts. I think like you can create a system on alerts based on that, like when they get bigger. I think that's what at least my use for.
I like it. I like it. Let's take a look at the chat. Let's see what anybody
else. We have some question for Tobias to follow up. That maybe follow up this. Is there a possibility to tell Sentry to just upload logs on Wi-Fi, as my app is running constantly on the background? I don't think we have that option. I mean, you can discard logs so they don't get uploaded if you don't want, but they will discard and they won't upload later. So we don't have that option. I don't remember having such a feature.
So Gabor was saying about I must have missed how to enable size analysis. Do we have to connect Sentry to the repo? I don't believe we need to have repo configured for size analysis. You could upload it using the CLI directly. In this example, you might have missed it, Gabor. We did it using Fastlane. So I added a plugin to Fastlane to do the size analysis upload late in the process. So towards the end, it'll go and upload size analysis for that one. The example project I have doesn't have any like real like image assets in it or anything, so like the bundle size is not very like interesting. So I showed another example where we had it set up inside of there.
If you connect with Sentry to your repo, I think you will get the pull request message from Sentry. Which, if you want that a bit better, I think you get a comment if the app increase in size. But I think that's the only difference between if you were to connect your repo or not. So you don't have to, but you get a better experience.
I like it. Let's see. It looks like we have a question from Nick. We have an existing large code base, which means we fill our quota off extremely quickly. There's options for increasing quota, but do you have recommendations on how to approach sampling rates for large audiences? For example, aggressive sampling means we lose full stories for individual users. This is a common scenario for large audience apps. In larger applications and larger environments overall, it tends to balance out in the end, like the way sampling ends up working out. In a large enough environment, I think it becomes a real struggle when you have a complex application that's very large and a small audience. Like sampling gets kind of like hairy then, because you don't have as much like traffic coming through to get you event information out. I think a lot of times I always want to know which part of your quota are you exhausting. For example, like errors. Okay, let's play with fingerprinting. Let's play with filters. Let's look at the right things that we don't want to send over as like error events to make sure that we're actually like only grabbing the errors that actually matter. Because like there's a lot of stuff, like especially in like a React based app like this, where this is an iOS workshop, but like React will send a ton of like junk events that just like aren't necessarily helpful, and they're not breaking anything. It's just like weird errors that happen, like especially like when a use effect runs and goes wild. Like we can do filtering on a lot of that stuff and clean that up to like reduce it down. On things like spans, it's really easy to go in and do like some custom filters around that, or to do like custom sampling rules that will let you like turn up sampling on certain endpoints or turn it down for others. And so a lot of that is like stuff that we like to get with you and like sit on a call and actually look at your environment and like do like observe some of that. So you can drop me a line, Cody@sentry.io, and I can help you get in touch with somebody to take a look at it. But sampling in a large app with a lot of user traffic tends to be okay because it balances out traffic wise in the long run. Any thoughts, Ate?
No, I mean, if you know what section of the app you want to monitor, you can always you can filter out from within the app or the SDK what you want to upload, so you can be nitpicky on what you want to upload in that regard.
Just curious if the expectation is if you don't actually get back to sample rate one past certain. Yeah, I do think there's a little bit of truth to that. Like at a certain audience size, really like sampling becomes very important. Otherwise, you're gonna blow through your quota really quick. So I think you can get back to a sample rate of 1 if you're just doing super aggressive filters and like you're really tuning it down to only like the things you really want. But then you run the risk of like missing a lot of things that actually really matter to you. So it's a trade-off. Awesome. Well, this was fun. I think it was a good little experiment. I think it was probably I would rate it as like a B on the grading scale of success. There's a couple of things that went a little sideways in there, but we fixed them pretty easily. We got some good stuff out of it. So thanks everyone for attending. Again, the replays for this will be up eventually, so you can go back and watch it again. The guide is out there that you can go back and look at again also. But if you have any questions, definitely reach out. I'm happy to get you in touch with people. I'm sure I can reach out to Ate and get help on anything you guys have questions about.